Hello everyone. Today I'm going to go through a rundown of the whole Sandiego Regionals. There were many very cool teams and the meta has clearly changed. Weather has popped up way more frequently, as you can see in these few teams, especially rain. Rain wasn't so good before, but now it's popping off. Like if you go here, you can see there's 1 rain team, 2 rain teams, 3 rain teams, 4 rain teams, 5 rain teams, 6 rain teams, 7. So there were 7 rain teams in top 32. That's more than Dondozo. So rain right now is doing better than Dondozo. And also, one very cool thing is there's a lot of widespread in just sets. So especially for Golden and Go, I'm gonna show you them just top 3 right now. So sadly you can't see the EVs, but Leftovers Leftovers Goldengo has been doing a lot better, especially with Nasty Plot, because people have realized that Make It Rain, since it always makes your special attack drop. They don't want to. Sometimes they want to keep it in for a while, but if they can't like regain their special attack, they always will have to switch. But with Nasty Plot and Leftovers, you can just keep it on the field and keep exerting the immense pressure it has. And you can also see Life Orb. So Life Orb doesn't stay on the field as long, though it does way more damage. Like, I think against King Gambit, I was seeing it doing like 80% to King Gambit after +2, which is insane. And then it also Life Orb Golden Go can OHKO other Golden Goes with Shadow Ball, even if they're the Leftovers variant, while Leftovers variants can't. So that's a thing you should note. And then there were also the Choice Specs Golden Goes, and these ones I don't like as much. I think they're a bit less consistent, a bit more unreliable, and you definitely need some speed control with them. Though it turned out to be fine. I thought you needed some speed control with them. Like Murkrow, I thought you needed it to make it survive, but I'm pretty sure this one was a bit more bulky, but also had Choice Specs, so it was going both paths. But if you can set it up, if you can position it properly, you'll be fine. And you can do heaps of damage too. But now there's 2 Golden Go variants, both about the same amount of usage, like Choice Specs and Nasty Plot, so I'd be watching out for that. And also, yet again, we see Meowscarada. Now, Meowscarada, before, like, day 1, it wasn't doing so well, but day 2, wow, it was very popular and it was dominating the competition. Like, you can see top 8, there was 6 Meowscardas, which is crazy. That's nearly as much as Incineroar usage for top 8 in like Sun and Moon Worlds. Like Meowscarada. There's also a lot of Amoonguss. So Amoonguss, Meowscarada. There's a grass type for every single team, which is something that I'd also note. You can see here that there was also, like Golden Go, there's usually like 2 variants. And this one, for Meowscarada, being either Choice Band, if Focus Sash is already taken up, or just Focus Sash itself. And with Focus Sash, you usually run Overgrow, which means Overgrow, when you get down to 1/3 of HP, Grass attacks do more, which is why Focus Sash is very good with it, so you can always get that Flower Trick boost. But with Protein, it's for that quick damage output, because you usually would be getting 1 shot, but you can easily get heaps of damage off. And also, U-Turn is probably more popular on Meowscarada Choice Band, so it can just do heaps of damage, but then switch out. And it's especially good on Dondozo teams, so you can go like Dondozo, Tatsugiri lead, do Muddy Water, and since it goes before Meowscarada, you can get that off, then U-Turn, which is already heaps of damage, and then go into Dondozo, and then negate any damage on Tatsugiri or Meowscarada, and eat it up with Dondozo. Rest Dondozo is also pretty good. Most people have been using Leftovers before this, but Rest is a lot more quick, and especially if you're running an attacking variant of Dondozo, Rest is pretty good just for quick regeneration. Gnargacl has also been very good. They use like Terra-type Poison with Soul Cure, Recover, Wide Guard, and Protect. Now, so there's no body press on this. That's probably because there's a lot of Ghost types running around, and you don't really need body press because Soul Cure does that damage, and as long as you can keep it on the field As long as you can keep it on the field with good times recoverers, which is what Gnargacl did very well. He always he didn't do too much soul curing a lot of the time. It was like, most of the time it was just protecting and recovering. Just getting in a good position where you can go for soul cure and not get KO'd the next turn, which is what you need with Gnargacl. You want to be on the field for as long as possible. Back's Caliber with Icicle Spear was also very good as a way to KO Murkrow teams, and as you can probably see, Murkrow before it's just dominating. Like Murkrow, Golden Go, Garchomp, Hydreigon, super good core. But now I don't even know if there was one. Like there might have not been one Murkrow team in the whole thing. Okay, there was two. But there were definitely weirder variants and a lot more bulky variants. There's none of this Murkrow anymore, and the reason for that is everyone's just hacking it. Like this one has Icicle Spear, rolling dice on Back's Caliber. This has Pawmot with like speed, lots of speed Dondozo, and also Arcanine with extreme speed. And Rain has like Golden Go, Spore, Powerfin with Jet Punch. Like all these things have these things that make their speed control better. This one has Farigiraf, and so Murkrow never really does anything anymore. And even with the Dondozos, like usually bought Haze with Murkrow, but they're never going to bring Dondozo with Tatsugiri against Murkrow teams anyway, as you can just use the other 4 Pokemon, or just use Tatsugiri, or just one Dondozo against them. And that's the other thing I'll be covering. Dondozo's been used a lot differently now, and you didn't probably get to see it on stream, but against other opponents, especially against Murkrow matchups or weaker Tatsugiri Dondozo matchups, a lot of the time they might have brought, like, just say Pawmot, Meowscarada, and then only brought their Dondozo, or only brought their Tatsugiri, because what we need to now know is, like, they're different components. They're not combined. It's like with Ring Your Sun. Charizard didn't always have to be with Groudon. It didn't always have to be. Eventually people would... Or it didn't always have to be Dynamaxed. But they could be used differently. And that's like Tatsugiri and Dondozo. You don't always have to bring them their own thing. This can be used as speed control, while this can be used just to stall out turns and get chip damage on, so these other Pokemon can sweep. Or you can do the other way around, use these Pokemon so Dondozo, Tatsugiri can sweep together. And instead of Murkrow, we've been seeing lots of Talonflame. Now, Talonflame gets speed control a lot better, and it also has a lot more damage potential. But unlike Murkrow, it doesn't get much damage on the dark types, but Talonflame can just one-shot Meowscarada, it can do heaps of damage to Sylveon, and it's a very good terrestrializing one. It can also reduce damage with Will-O-Wisp and Taunt. The next thing I want to talk about is Tauros, and especially how people compared Tauros to Urshifu Rapid Strike, because people don't actually understand why they're the same, and I'll show you this right now. So if you go to Tauros and you go to Urshifu Rapid Strike, you can see, well, firstly, they're the same typing, right? And if you go, this is the most common move. So this is Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, and Close Combat. Protect. While Urshifu's was Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and Protect. And if you look at this, Wave Crash, after Surging Strikes crits, it's pretty much the exact same damage. This is actually doing 5 more, except that this has a slower attack stat, but a higher speed stat than Urshifu. So Urshifu is pretty much the legendary version of Tauros. The only difference between them are Intimidate and Unseen Fist. So, though Intimidate, in this format, since it's clear, lots of Clear, Amulet, and Defiant, people weren't really using Tauros for its Intimidate, it was just an extra bonus. And that's the same as Urshifu's Unseen Fist. So that's why they're the same, that's probably why it's getting heaps of usage rate, and also, the funny thing is, Intimidate saved a lot of people. Like, people that used Intimidate did extremely well, and for the reason that people actually stopped caring about it. Like, you can barely ever see a Clear Amulet. There's no Clear Amulet on this, no, or this, or this, or this, or this. There's pretty much no Clear Amulet on any of these teams. And only on some is there Defiant. Like, on two of the teams, which are the ones with clear King Gambit, were the ones that had something against Intimidate. But even the Dragonites, you might think that it uses into focus, but instead, you might be able to see here, it's using multi-scale, and this is because of the drop-off of Intimidate. But since people aren't using Intimidate for Intimidate now, it's actually become good, because people have stopped trying to tech for Intimidate. So now it's actually usable, and people will probably have to start teching for it again, but not as hard as they used to. That's why it was super good. And then with Toxic Debris, you can break sash on a lot of things like Meowscarter, and you can also do chip damage to Dondozo, as not many Dondozo were running rests at the moment, as you can see when they're running leftovers. It's also very good against Sylveon, and sometimes it could even be used as a Trick Room matchup. Usually Dondozo teams aren't so good against Trick Room, especially if they don't have Armourouge. But you can see here, Glimmora would be good against Armourouge. It would be good against Torkoal, stuff like that. I'm just going to look at this Medicham team, because I haven't actually seen what Medicham does. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Trick Room. And that's the next thing I'm going to go over. Trick Room is kind of busted. It kind of destroys Dondozo and enables so many Pokemon just to be monsters, like especially King Gambit and Amoonguss. You can probably see this. I don't know if I had Trick Room on the team, but Amoonguss, King Gambit, very good, even without Trick Room. Same here, King Gambit, you can see, if I scroll down a bit, Amoonguss, King Gambit, Amoonguss, King Gambit, Amoonguss, King Gambit, like, there's a lot of them. And with Trick Room, you can make them even stronger, and usually they'd get one shot sometimes, like Amoonguss couldn't get Spore off, sometimes this would get close combat, but with Trick Room, you can just allow these things to pick up KOs and not die, or put things to sleep, let this become even better and stronger. And there's no way you can really stop it, and especially due to Intimidate being prevalent now, King Gambit was just such a monster in this format. Mouseshot also has dropped off a lot. As you can see here, everyone's ranting about how good Mouseshot is, it should be banned. But now people were using Mouseshot, it actually wasn't that good, because people were running Rocky Helmet everywhere. As you can see, Intimidate Tauros, such a hard counter to Mouseshot, and there wasn't just too much it could do. Volcarona, going into this I thought it'd dominate, but as you can see, Volcarona didn't do too well, and for the reason, Gnargacl, and also Tauros. So Tauros is like the new Incineroar. It's going to unviable things a lot. I think there's going to be a lot more set teams, I'm sorry for you here, but there's also going to be a lot more techs. Because since there's like heaps and heaps and heaps of teams that like are different, everyone's going to have to be teching for a lot of things. So there's going to be a lot of differentiation in the sets. So you might see same Pokemon, there will still be a lot of Golden Go, there'll be a lot of Dondozo, a lot of Tauros, a lot of Meowscarter, but let's just use Tauros for example. If you need to tech for Tauros itself, you can use like Trailblaze, get a speed boost, and even use that to outspeed Meowscarter, and then use like Close Combat to KO. If you need a quick, this doesn't really, because it has Intimidate, it doesn't always destroy King Gambit, but if you have Mirror Herb as a tech for it, you can use Close Combat against it, or just sweep from there. See, and since there's so many different Terra types, that would be the thing we're going to have to look out for. There'll be a lot of the same Pokemon, a lot of this, a lot of Talonflame, a lot of Meowscarter, but a lot of them will start to have different techs, a lot of different Terra types, just to defeat their matchups. And it's the main thing from now on. It's going to come down to who has the better team, and also it's going to come down to who plays better, because most people will be able to find synergy that, like, with all these techs, and since you have Terra types, you can usually beat most teams, or at least balance it out to like an average matchup against them. It's just going to come down to who's better, and you can see Gnargacl played it very well. He used Gnargacl to recover it well. He really positioned Golden Go well to win a lot of matchups. Excalibur, he protected really well with like protects. He used his protects very well. He positioned Tauros well. Curse Mimikyu was very good against Dondozo. And he also used Meowscarter Focus Sash. He kept the Focus Sash intact, so he could just keep on sleeping with it. And that's why he won, really. He knew how to play his team, and that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to find a team, use it until the end of the series, and just keep on teching with it until it becomes good enough that it's average, at least against every single team. And then you're going to have to play better and know how to beat common matchups, such as this nice, balanced, good stuff team. Dondozo, of course. Rain, of course. Gothitelle, you're going to have to be good against. And Trick Room. Trick Room, I'm just going to hope you know this. Trick Room is going to rise in usage. So you've got to start taking for Trick Room. Maybe have a Prison Trick Room on something. Or have an Amoonguss on your team. We're going to need that. I think I might just check quickly. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to cover. You can see Trick Room here. Subscribe, of course. In the comment section, I want you to put your favorite Pokemon you saw in Sandiego. Mine was personally Goldongo, which is pretty funny. I used to hate it, but Nasty Plot is just so fun to use. And also Palafin. Palafin with Jet Punch did way too much damage, and I love it. Yeah. Alright, I'll see you later tomorrow. Goodbye.